The year is 1942 in the midst of World War II in St. Louis, Missouri, United States. Mallinckrodt Chemical Works in St. Louis was the major site for refining uranium for nuclear weapon development in the Manhattan Project. The United States was on a time crunch to get the Manhattan Project done. The procedure to dispose of uranium ore was rushed, which led to unsafe waste management over the years. Fast forward to 30 years, terror begins to pervade neighborhoods in St. Louis North County. One site of the terror is where the 14-mile-long Coldwater Creek, a river which runs from northeast to southwest through Blackjack, Hazelwood, Florissant, Lambert International Airport, and then eventually flows into the Missouri River. Another site is West Lake Landfill, a waste landfill located in Bridgeton, about 6 miles away from the airport side of Coldwater Creek. Multiple corporations that had purchased the radioactive residue from the Manhattan Project have been illegally dumping waste into these two sites, alongside other sites near St. Louis Airport, University City, Latty Avenue site, and downtown St. Louis. These areas have unsafe levels of radiation and unfortunately higher than normal rates of autoimmune diseases. The Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has shown that groundwater under the West Lake landfill is contaminated with unhealthy levels of radium. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has identified unsafe levels of uranium and radium along the 10-mile stretch of Coldwater Creek. Missouri DHHS has shown that the observed number of incident cases of leukemia in the Coldwater Creek area was statistically significantly higher in recent years. Reuters reporters tracked down current and former residents of half of a nearby neighborhood's 92 homes. At least 33 of those people have been diagnosed since the 1980s with types of cancer that have been linked to radiation. Residents have had to push to find out the extent of the radioactive contamination in their neighborhoods. A lack of information as well as misinformation have been challenges for residents living near the Coldwater Creek and West Lake landfill sites. Stacy Schwimpf lived from 1964 to 1965 in Florissant. Coldwater Creek was a symbolic presence to her while growing up. She played in the creek with family and friends. Even the topsoil from the creek composed the backyard of her home. Later on, she moved to Bridgeton, closer to the West Lake landfill site. Once getting the shocking revelation that barrels of radioactive waste were dumped in Coldwater Creek, Stacy's next move was to try to dig for more information.
At that point, there was not much coming out. And I just continued to go to the meetings with the moms in Westlake, trying to learn as much as I possibly could to try to get the word out. I didn't think, what can one person do? At that time, it was just, we've got to have more information.
Ashley Burnaugh moved to her first spot home in Florissant with her husband and young child in 2013. She found out about the radioactive waste surrounding Coldwater Creek instantly on the radio as she was dropping off her child at daycare by St. Ferdinand Park.
It was kind of just like one of those things. So it was like, whoa, radioactive waste. We all better come. I just thought it was like the craziest thing I'd ever heard. And how could no one just show up and not be ready to support their neighbors? I just had no idea. It was literally my neighbors.
As a response to the difficulties in accessing information upon finding out about the radioactive waste in their neighborhoods, both Stacy and Ashley have been collaborating with organizations to raise community-wide knowledge. Stacy has been a frequent attendee of community meetings hosted by the organization Just Moms, where they have discussed the radioactive contamination in the West Lake Landfill site. Ashley has been working with Just Moms and the Missouri Coalition for the Environment to become the agent for her own gaining of information on the radioactive contamination issue. Together, they have collected data samples from the Coldwater Creek site to analyze the radioactive contamination levels. Radioactive contamination has already done damage to people's health and living environments. However, Ashley, Stacy, and other community members strive to keep on going with their support so that the damage does not continue.
Everyone has a place in this kind of work to make sure that their communities are safe and good places to live in. And that's wider than an environmental look, that's wider than nuclear waste look, but it is inclusive of both those things too. And so I hope my work will continue, to inform public policy, to help communities to feel empowered and engaged. That's where I would really like to go.
So, what remedial action is happening to prevent the radioactive waste in Coldwater Creek and West Lake Landfill from causing further damage? The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers handles the Coldwater Creek cleanup. They excavate the radioactive material out of the site. Then they transport the excavated material to federally approved radioactive waste sites in Idaho, Utah, and Michigan. They are looking at completing remediation in Coldwater Creek by 2036. From an interview with the representative, we learned that the Army Corps organizes outreach meetings with local community members with a purpose to provide updates on the cleanup process in Coldwater Creek. They wish to help out for a sustainable future for the communities surrounding Coldwater Creek and other contaminated sites. The Environmental Protection Agency conducts remediation of the West Lake Landfill, with different Missouri agencies supplementing the work. The Superfund process indicates each of the steps and point of direction, including vital public buy-in sessions for remediation in West Lake. According to Ryan Seabaugh, a previous project manager of the West Lake cleaning, it is critical that there is agreement among responsible parties, such as the Department of Energy, Public Services, Constellation Corporation, as well as the public, the people most affected, for the Superfund process to be successful. So what is there to be done next? For over a decade, the organization Just Moms has been pushing for more information, more attention, and more action on this issue by testifying in Congress, taking government agencies to account, working together with experts and officials, and by helping communities to become aware about what exactly is happening to them. According to Just Moms, there is a major window of opportunity that allows everyone involved to work together to solve this issue of radioactive contamination.
That's a great question. I think that RECA is actually the building block for that example, because there's so much in this program for everyone, right? And I think that especially with our situation where you are uncovering a problem that is huge, right? But it's tip of the iceberg. There's so much unknown for radioactive exposure-wise in St. Louis. I think that if you can come up with a program like RECA that covers it, it makes it easier to uncover the truth because you have a place to send people that have been harmed. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a two-pronged approach where you want to pull doctors in who can save lives, right? Mm-hmm. But you also have to get your boots on the ground mayors and whatnot to do what they can to stop exposures, right? And then you have to pull the agency in without poking your finger in their eye and say, hey, yeah, this is complicated. You're in here trying to find it. Let us help you while you're trying to investigate. Let us find some ways to put some institutional controls in place to stop exposures or minimize them while you're getting to the root of the problem. And that buys you time to clean it. Doctors, that means that you can see people who were historically exposed, but you don't have to worry about current, right? And it's just putting everybody around a table and giving them something to do. And the hardest thing, not so much with us.